Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bordertown Strange. I'm Pam, and this is my co-host, Jess, and we have Enzo with us tonight, and our special guest, DEBBIE ZIEGELMEYER. DEBBIE is the Missouri MUFON director, and she's got all kinds of interesting things for us to talk about tonight, so we're really thrilled to have you here. So thanks for being here, Deb.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be here.
That's awesome. So before we get started, Jess, do you have any housekeeping to do?
Yep, just the usual. First of all, a huge thank you to all of our old and new followers. We appreciate you so much. If you're hanging out on Facebook right now, give a really quick like and share for us. And if you're hanging out on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell so you know when we're bringing you new content. And of course, if you like to listen to your podcast, you can listen in wherever you get your podcast from. We should be across all platforms. And if you can't find us, let us know so we can rectify that situation. And also take a minute to give us a rating on those platforms. We would appreciate it so much. Also, we like to remind you to please send in your show ideas or maybe even your personal stories that you'd like to hear told on air, or maybe we could even have you on if you feel like coming on live with us. And also, we want to remind everybody who's in our area, in the Caney, Kansas area, if you want to come in for our next Paranormal Club meeting, which will be November 15th. We were going to be taking a field trip that day out to the new Monster Bridge area and the Haunted River Road. The field trips are always a whole lot of fun. You get to hear about all the local history on the 37th parallel here, and it's just going to be a blast. Pay attention to our Facebook page for more details on that field trip and how you can come along. And it's absolutely free, so can't go wrong there. And I think that's all we have. So we should probably move on to the What the Weird Word of the Week. And this one's exciting. Pam pulled this one out, and I'd never actually heard of this before, so it's new.
I hadn't either. I thought it was pretty interesting. So let me pop this up a little bit bigger here. There we go. So this word is apophenia, and it's the tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things. It's often used in psychology to describe how people might see patterns or significance in random data, like hearing hidden messages in music or spotting UFO lens flares. And a good example is when someone lies in the grass and looks up at the clouds and finds shapes, they are intentionally engaging in apophenia. One specific form of apophenia based on visual perception is pareidolia, which you may have heard us talk about on here before, and that's actually the only word I knew. I didn't realize that there was like an umbrella term for it, but it's based on visual perception. We're seeing faces where there are none, like in inanimate objects such as electrical outlets or bell peppers, which we had a huge laugh about the bell pepper thing. That was a little random, but yeah, that is the word of the week. The What the Weird Word of the Week: apophenia.
Yeah, interesting. I'd never heard of that before. So
pretty wild.
Ooh, we're getting a full chat room.
We are.
Ooh,
Hi,
hey
everybody.
Ginger.
Hi, Julie. Hi, Ginger.
Hey, Ann. Hey, Sharon. Hey, Julie. Hey, Enzo, who's on here. I don't know why you're...
I am everywhere.
He is everywhere.
That's awesome. And he had a birthday last week, so happy birthday once again.
Yep.
Yes.
One more station around the sun. I made it.
Yay!
I could make it this long, but
how funny. So let's get into talking with DEBBIE. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into MUFON? What got you involved?
Oh gosh, wrong place at the right time, or right place at the wrong time. I don't know. My husband and my son are bass fishermen, and so they went fishing together, Table Rock Lake, way back in 2000. And I thought, okay, what can I do? Well, I had already been going to MUFON meetings, and my brother and, well, my family at the time all lived in California. I think pretty much everybody has left now. They've moved to other places, and it's been since 2000. But I started going to meetings there when I would go into California, into Southern California, 97, 98. I started going to a few here. But what really got me involved was in 2000, I went to a conference. Oh, my goodness. It was in St. Louis. They had Bud Hopkins, Stanton Friedman, Bruce Maccabee, Oh my gosh, it goes on and on. I can't remember all the names, but I was so impressed with the, I guess, with the speakers, that their expertise. And, I mean, Stanton Friedman was a nuclear physicist. I mean, it just intrigued me so much that I went right over to the table and I joined MUFON, and I said, I want to be an investigator. And they said, why do you want to join MUFON? And at the time, X-Files was out. And I said, oh, I want to know the truth. Well, now I'm sorry I asked. 25 years later, I'm a state director. I'm the director of underwater research and recovery. I'm an archivist for MUFON. I'm on the board of directors. I mean, I'm still an investigator, but there is so much that's going on that I had no idea. And all of us enthusiasts out there, if you don't have access to the material and to what's actually going on, you can say, oh yeah, I saw that on TV. Well, you have it firsthand in all the cases, since I've been a state director since 2009. So all the Missouri cases come to me, and then I assign them. And I just cannot believe how much is going on, especially when I speak with other state directors. A lot of us keep in touch. We meet every Thursday, several state directors, and just chat and compare notes. And we're all Midwest people, and it's incredible what's going on out there, and most people don't know. So that's kind of it was something, I was just something of interest, and then jumped in with both feet, and now here I am.
I love the fact that, you're Midwest like we are. And especially in Southeast Kansas, where we're at, a lot of people, they call us the flyover state because nothing ever happens here. There's tons of stuff that happens. It's just not being reported. And
Right.
I prefer to call it a warp over state, but
Oh.
but yeah, there's a lot more than what people give it credit for. Even the ladies up top here all live in Caney, Kansas, and there's a lot of strangeness in that area, which I was skeptical of until I went down there and they started giving me a tour. And I was like, oh yeah, this happened here, this happened here. I thought, okay, local legend. When did this happen? It's like, oh, this was last week. What? Oh, that's different.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and after 25 years of investigating, you would think that there isn't something that I haven't heard. I get surprised all the time. You've got to be kidding me. I'll read something, I'll go, what? I can't believe that. And I investigated Roswell for about 20 years straight. I've been on 3 archaeology digs there. So, I mean, back since, I think the first one was in 2002. And you would think I'd heard it all. Well, I haven't. I mean, every time, every time somebody reports something, and there'll be something a little bit different, and things that I don't know. It's just incredible. It's a living, breathing, working mystery novel.
It really does go to, I feel like whatever the truth is, whenever we figure that out, it's going to be so strange and weird that it's almost inconceivable.
Well, see, that's the hardest part of it, because there isn't one truth. There are multiple races of beings that visit this planet. However, there's probably just as many that have been living here for a long time. I'm the director of underwater research and recovery, and since there's been reports back from the 70s forward of 10-foot tall beings underwater in Lake Baikal, in the Baltic Sea. They've been seen there as deep as 1,300 feet, swimming by, sitting on rocks, coming up and looking at people, seen by divers. They're living there, and with all the activity coming in and out of the water, I thoroughly believe there are bases underwater, and they're just hidden. 70% of the Earth is water. We've only explored less than 5% of it, according to NOAA. So
we literally know more about the surface of Mars and the moon than we do the bottom of our own oceans.
We do, and what's incredible is that we're never going to know all the truth, because there isn't one truth. There are multiple things going on and multiple truths, because we not only have them living here, we have them coming interdimensionally. Most likely, a lot of people believe they're coming from the future, coming back here to the past. They're coming through wormholes. So they look different. So how can you try and describe an alien being or another worldly entity in any way, shape, or form? Because there are multiple. You can't say, well, this person over here saw this. Well, they're not. It's not like when you have somebody tell a secret. Remember when we were little kids and they used to have us sit in a circle. I remember in kindergarten, and you tell one person something, and when it comes around the last person, the story was different, but you're telling the same thing. The stories are all different, so it's really jumbled. I don't know. I think we're going to get bits and pieces, and we're getting more and more, and I think we're being fed parts of the truth by a lot of people out there. That's what all these videos coming out, being released. We had one released by one of our own congressmen, the one where there was the bright light coming across the sky, and we shot a missile at it. Did you see that one at the hearing, September 23rd?
Yeah.
The Hellfire missile. Yeah, there's. I appreciated the video. I have some questions about it, of course. That mostly it's the chain of custody is like, where did this come from? Where was it exactly? Things like that we don't have that answer because they did like an old school spy movie, drop spot kind of thing where I'll leave the secret USB stick on the corner of the bench in the park. So we don't know exactly where that came from. So there's a lot of details I'd like to know more about that, but it is certainly interesting.
It's
that whole thing.
Very, very interesting. And it's still being released. Just the fact that we've got congressional hearings now.
I was going to bring up Tim Burchett just a few weeks ago, mentioned totally in passing, just the people interviewing him out in the street. It's like, there's these things that have bases, like there's like he said 4 or 5, I think, bases under the ocean across the world. That these things hanging out there, Tim Burchett talks from Tennessee, and he's just said it so matter of factly, like, I'm getting briefed on this stuff I'm getting briefed on this stuff all the time. They're out there just hiding out at the bottom of the oceans, and there ain't nothing we can go do about it. That kind of stuff.
It makes you wonder because a lot of what Elizondo and a lot of what the witnesses that came forward, the whistleblowers that came forward, they're saying, well, I really can't tell you that. You'll have to go into the skiff.
Yeah.
What does Burchett know that we don't, that he heard in the skiff?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. And to know that what we've heard in the hearings and the testimony and the videos released, you don't even know what they know. I know they were talking about the very first hearing in 2023. They talked about that we had possession of 12 craft that he knew about. And was that Congresswoman, was that Luna? That she said, well, what about the pilots? And he goes, do we have any pilots dead or alive? And he said, I'll have to tell you that in the skiff. Well, if we got
not a no.
Exactly. That's not a no.
I have people that come to me and they go, I believe in UFOs, but I don't believe in aliens. And I said, okay, who built these UFOs?
Get here. Yeah.
And they go, well, I don't know, but I said, who's flying them? Well, they're being flown by remote control. Who's got the remote control? I mean, well, they're modern. We built them. I said, these things, there are descriptions on pictoglyphs on the pyramids and on walls in New Mexico and in Mexico and there's excerpts in passages in the Bible that talk about this type of thing. What they built them, and who had the remote controls back then?
Right.
Paintings from the 1500s that have the aircraft in the air.
Any government that would have that height of technology, just to see like the basic stuff that we see them do, just the acrobatic, almost aeronautical type stuff that we see them doing in the skies, that would be their control in the world. Whoever has that, if they had it, there's no, there's no missile system or anything like that that could track it or keep up with it or anything. Whoever had that technology would have taken over the world if it was a foreign power here on the planet. That's because the government finds a drop of water, their first thing they're going to do is try and figure out how to drown somebody in it. How do you weaponize It's not my joke. I stole it.
Weaponized
It's still
water.
very funny. Yeah.
I don't know. It was the
it's-
parting of the seas. Remember that somebody did
Yeah.
weaponize water.
Well,
That was,
People
kind
do.
of magical if you think about it.
Mhm.
So,
For sure.
and the flood, the Noah.
Yeah.
So you were right. You're spot on. There's twice I can mention where they weaponized water. You can't mess with the director of underwater research and recovery. I know this.
That's right. Actually have a lot of questions about that. I got PADI certified back in the 90s. Open water.
Oh, wow.
And well, with the thought, I was in the Air Force for 24 years and I traveled a lot, thinking, okay, I'm going to go to some amazing corner of the world where I can actually utilize this and get to check that out. No, that didn't turn out for me, but I certainly went to places with a lot of beachfront, not a lot of water, but did get to splash around in the lagoon part of a few remote islands in the Indian Ocean. That it was just like jumping into an aquarium at a zoo or something like that. Where it was just
backwater.
Yeah.
In the Florida Keys, the water's like 90 degrees. And then you look and it's like in an aquarium. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And then people worry about sharks. A lot of these places right around the reefs, they're so used to the people that we're
Right.
chasing the shark, trying to get a picture of it. They're trying to get away from us. So
Yeah, I'll admit I did see
one.
one reef shark in my thing when I was swimming around there out in the middle of nowhere. And it was general rule of thumb is, if it's bigger than you, it may chase you, and vice versa. But I saw, I was like, okay, I'm kind of far out anyways. I'll just go this way. Why chance it? Didn't see any aggressive maneuvering. The fins weren't pointed down. It wasn't an acting thing. It was just kind of like, what are you?
Only thing I ever got attacked by underwater was a little bitty barracuda. I was just swimming along at like 30 foot, going through a reef, and the little barracuda was right there in front of me. Stupid me. I should go around it. This is its territory. And I just went like that to move it. It came over and hit me right in the face. And I thought, you're right. That was its home or area. And I tried to move it. It was my fault. Yeah, I thought, a little barracuda. But,
the little ones have the most tenacity. The same experience, same place ran into just the tiniest little moray eel, just halfway hanging out of the coral, and it was ready to fight. It was ready to go. It's like, hey, okay.
The little ones are aggressive.
Yeah, they really are.
That's hilarious. So I know we have so many directions that we could go in things to talk with you about tonight, but I do want to see if you can kind of talk about what sort of things are reported in our area, like the Midwest area. Is there a specific thing that you see, or is it different things?
It runs kind of in waves. There for a while, I guess maybe 3 years ago, we had right by the Mississippi River, we had a lot of triangle-shaped craft. And they had red light on each corner, 3 red lights and 1 in the middle, and then just hovering and then just taking off at a high rate of speed. 2011, we had a lot of the Tic Tac. And we even have video. Someone had videotaped that going across the sky, going across the Jefferson Barracks Bridge. Then I think a couple years ago, we had two different police officers who were, one was at in a gas station parking lot running radar, and another one was just stopped at a light and saw Tic Tacs go by. And they were right by the Jefferson Barracks Bridge. So it kind of runs in spurts. Right now we're getting a lot of strange balls of light, and this has been going on in certain areas for quite a while, but that seems to be the norm right now. And I can honestly say they're not a drone. They're not, I guess they would say, people are actually seeing them, because you have a lot of pictures where they say, well, it's orbs in there, and then that's dust that ended up on the camera lens. But people are seeing these balls of light, and they're dancing around, they're moving around, they're doing very strange things. And a lot of us have really good cameras too now. So I have an Aurora Psionics video camera, and it's probably the next version is getting ready to come out because it's a military grade night vision, which was released.
I have one too. They're great.
Oh yeah, it released in 2018. The first one that got the camera was an investigator from Illinois named Gary Hart. He showed it to me. I told my daughter, who told my husband, and I got one for Christmas 2018. And 2019 forward, I have incredible video that you can't see with the naked eye, but you're picking up things. You can pick up things that are, or you can see with the naked eye, but you can pick up better detail. And I mean, the camera is phenomenal, but it's been since 2018. And usually every 8 years, the next generation will come out.
So we're due for something new out of them.
Yeah, we're getting close to another generation, and I can't wait for that one. But that one, we've picked up strange lights.
I've seen some tech that it's described, it's color night vision, and it looks like regular daylight, like normal colors, like, you know, with the aurora and stuff like that. Everything kind of like has that purple tint to it, and things like that. Some of the next gen stuff is spot on, exactly like what it should look like color wise. But you can be in a completely dark room, and you know it looks like a full sunny day outside. Well,
our lab tech Mel Van Dickel has been working with that, trying to find out why that really bright white light has a purple tint to it. And the same people, the people from Skinwalker Ranch, I don't know if you watch closely, they use that camera. And they'll go get your psionics, you know, and they run out and they're taking pictures of the videos. And they had that one where the rocket went up and then they could see that white ball of light up there. We had that happen just down the road here from me at the airport. People were skydiving and looking up and saw this white light up there. And it was seen by the pilots. It was seen by the skydivers, by the instructors, by the people on the ground. So it's pretty much the same kind of light. And this was taken with regular cameras. They've got pictures of it. But I thought it was interesting. Skinwalker Ranch, they're using that. So
that's pretty cool.
It's very the psionics platform, whichever, even though their lower brand stuff works really well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's for what it does, it's your best bang for the buck kind of a thing. It's relatively inexpensive, like the one I was describing earlier, where it looks like a regular, you know, sunny day kind of. That's certainly going to be multiple thousands of dollars for something like that.
Well, hopefully not. You'll get it on Black Friday or Amazon. I
do all my shopping on Black Friday. I save up all year for it.
Oh yeah, Amazon dollars, and then you get all those Amazon gift certificates, and you save those up. But the one interesting thing about this camera is that where we've been investigating right along Highway 44 and along the Merrimack River is the same lights like you were talking about before, that we had a newer witness that has in a different area lights coming through the trees. And we've videotaped lights coming across Interstate 44 and have been staged on Route 66, watched with it January 5th, 2 years in a row. It was kind of incredible too, right around 6 o'clock, 2 years in a row. And we watched the light come through the trees, the middle of the trees that of course didn't have leaves on them, take air, move off into the distance, a bright white light that we have still frame of. And when it got to maybe, I don't know, 700, 800, 900 foot altitude, turned on green and red FAA lights. Only the lights were on the wrong side. Going away from us should have been red on the left, green on the right, and they were opposite. And we have it, I took it, and I have it twice on video in color, in the green and the red. But the very interesting thing about that was the same thing was investigated by Harley Rutledge back in 1973 from Farmington Airport. And it's he's got it documented. Oh my goodness, the book's back there. I can't remember the name of the book, but he's got it documented where the light is coming down to land at Farmington Airport, and then this bright light, and then it takes off and takes air at altitude. And then one of his student helpers said, "Professor, it's turned on FAA lights and they're on the wrong side." So they would have to be going backward or upside down for the lights like that. He got a picture and it's in black and white, one picture in black and white. But the thing is that the lights are just right so close together, there's no room for a fuselage in between. And they mention that in Harley Rutledge's book. And it was the same with us. Our chief investigator, Missouri MUFON chief investigator Mel Van Vickle, did the same thing. He had the light white, 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 and then you could see it turned green and red and no room in between. So it took us over 50 years later, but we caught the same thing, maybe 35 miles from where it happened in 73. This time, because of that camera, I've got it in color on video.
That's so
So
cool.
technology,
Wow.
finally we've got the technology that's catching up with these culprits a little bit. And
It's so amazing to be able to correlate that,
oh yeah, it's just, I wish I could remember the name of the book. It's been a long 4 months. Kind of. That's, but it's if somebody wants to know the name of the book too, they can email me, mufondiver@gmail.com. But you can look up Harley Rutledge investigation, Piedmont, Missouri, and it'll be in that.
We will make sure that we get that at the end of the show too. So you guys help me remember that.
And it's also to all the newspaper articles. We've got our 50th anniversary. Let's see, the 50th anniversary of the Southeast Missouri State. Oh, yeah. And it's in that book, too. So
cool.
Harley Rutledge's book, the cover and the whole story about that is in that book as well.
While I'm looking that up, Ian had a question. He said, we've heard a lot about the Aurora program over the last 30 odd years. How much of that enterprise has contributed to the UFO phenomena in that time?
The Aurora program? You mean the craft, the Aurora craft? Or
like your TR3Bs, your Aurora type, basically, that bleeding edge, government funded technology that really this could encompass all experimental aircraft, I feel, as far as that question goes, because from what I would imagine, that would be, okay, you're doing your checklist in the field. Okay, it's not a satellite, it's not a balloon, it's not a bird, it's not an airplane, it's not this. And then you start getting into the anomalous type categories. And I would think the first thing after that would be, okay, is this some secret government experimental craft that nobody's seen before?
Right.
And then you can go on to, is it off planet? Is it interdimensional? Blah, blah, blah. So,
well, just from the description I've seen of the Aurora craft, it actually looks like the one that crashed in Roswell. Most people think that was a saucer shape. It wasn't. It was kind of a winged tipped, shaped like the Aurora craft. My brother Chuck saw it in Colorado. He was driving down the highway and he thought, what is that? He pulled over and this thing was doing all these maneuvers and it was in the sky over him, the Aurora. So I guess they were testing it someplace there, doing like simulated cat fights or something. So, I mean, he didn't get a picture of it. Of course, it was going so fast and, then it was just gone. My sister worked in Irvine, California, and before anybody knew about the little stealth bombers, the original little one, they were flying around. One of them was circling around the building in Irvine where she was working. So she worked for she did computer chip design, and they were in a tall building. So these things that they're out there and they're testing them, and they'll zip by, and someone will be like, what? Enough to know that that's one of ours because it's low altitude, and they let the secret out by accident every once in a while. You get these kids and they're flying them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's go buzz this building." Yeah, there you go. But we've had some. I think they're minimum 20 years ahead of what we know. Some of these craft have been coming out now. I mean, that's minimum. Some of these craft that I've seen online. In fact, look at the one that the president was talking about. He had it kind of fogged out behind him. Remember that one that he was showing, the new great big craft? And this thing is so big, it can have, what did he say, like 1,000 drones on it? Or I thought, how big is this and how little are the drones? I mean, so he kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit on that one. Um, but when you've got craft that are coming in and out of the water, you've got the tic tac. You know, you've got, I mean, some of these things, when you've got our pilots are surprised, when our military is surprised, when our military is denying it, when, you know, well, the Nimitz was just in the news. They lost a jet and a helicopter. Thank goodness that all the pilots were okay. But that was, what was that, last week? But the Nimitz, that was November of 2004, when David Fravor was one of the ones that saw the Tic Tac, that were, I guess, a fleet of them over the top of the, what was it, the USS Princeton and the USS Nimitz. They had been doing maneuvers 100 miles southwest of Southern California for about 2 weeks. And they had been seeing these things. And he said that finally they were picking them on radar. These things were moving around. What they don't tell you in that tape, where you see the one go by and he goes, woo, there it is. Oh, he said there were a dozen of them above them, that one of them started to come down, and that one he chased down to the water. So they're telling us bits and pieces, but I don't know, I guess I think people would be afraid if they knew that there wasn't just the one, that there was a dozen of them. And then what they didn't mention too was that how they lost sight of it was it came out of the water, and just within a couple minutes, it was 60 some miles away. Well, I think it was just a few seconds. It was 60 some miles away to the exact point where they were going to do their maneuvers from the ship to the coastline.
Right.
Now, how did it know that? How did it?
Exactly. That's, for me, that kind of like, okay, how did it know to hang out? You know, I think they refer to as, the Navy refers to it as like the cat point. There's a holding area for like any airport, and you know, the Navy is the same way. They have like a holding area where, you know, if something's gone wrong on the runway or for the ground or on the flight deck or something like that, where you can't just fly giant circles or whatever. They want you in a specific place so they know where everything is as far as aircraft go. So they'll orbit in this holding area. That's where this thing just popped up at.
Yeah, there's one over there.
Know, it's like, how did it know to go right there? You know, it's strange.
There's a video out now. I'm not sure. It's a tear in the sky. And that's really great. A couple years ago, I went to Catalina Island with my two sisters. We did a girl trip, and we also wanted to go up and, you know, look around Catalina Island and set up some video cameras and see if we could catch anything. But we went to on the bus trip to the top of the mountain, and the gentleman up there said that these people had been out filming. Well, I had already seen a tear in the sky, and they said that they'd been out there filming and that they were coming back, or they had come back and they were going to do a second episode. But they set up there and on Laguna Beach, and we're trying to catch things in between. So they had, oh my gosh, hundreds of thousands of, if not more money than that, worth of equipment set up on the rooftop of a house in Laguna Beach, and then also on a rooftop on a house on Catalina Island. And they were catching these lights going back and forth. And if you haven't seen the end of the movie, I don't, you know, well, it would encourage you to watch it.
Yeah. The
title is, you know, a spoiler. A tear in the sky. At the very end, They see a light and they go, where did it end up? And they start checking from Laguna Beach, and this thing ended up, plus they saw a couple more. It was just this anomaly in the sky. They went into that. They picked it up on NOAA, and there weren't any clouds or anything around. It was just like this just orange thing. They even came up on NOAA, and that's where they went in, and that's why it's called a tear in the sky. They caught something. I mean, and they didn't have
UAPX guys are pretty good.
Oh, that's one reason why too, that I've had people say, well, what does MUFON do with all these reports that get called in? Everything is on our database, and we use it as investigators. We go back and we say, okay, what else has happened in this area, and when, and what time of year, you know, what time of day, what time of the evening, when is this stuff happening? Is it more in the morning, more in the evening? I found out that a lot of the things in the evening, by 10, 30, 11 o'clock, it's over. you're not really catching too much then, and then you're going to catch it more when the sun's coming up. But from the middle of the night, you're gonna have a good sky show, maybe with some meteors and some satellites, but there's not a lot going on. It's usually an hour or so after dusk is when we're seeing these things. So, I mean, that's what we found out from the data that we've gathered, and we've used that data to go back. That's why it's so important, to get the information and to report it and have somebody put it in a database, and we're actually using that information to try and find out the truth. And I have gotten some very good video just knowing to be at the right place at the right time because I knew to be there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, I was working on something over here. I just wanted to make sure, did we get Ian's other questions answered?
I don't think so.
Because he was talking about the Aurora program, and then he said also, would that relate to the flying triangles over Belgium in the early 90s?
Flying triangles in the early 90s, they already had the little mini stealth bomber, because that's when my sister was working in Irvine, and I don't remember the name of it.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, in the early 90s, they were already around. We just didn't know about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A lot of the Belgium sightings were what we would consider like the normal or typical black triangle type sighting, where all black, smaller white lights on the corners, the three corners, and like a red light in the middle. And there was certainly a lot of that in the latter part of the 90s going on in most of Western Europe, but mostly over Belgium is where most of the sightings were.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that those were ours. There wasn't something else going on there too, because I've even had reports. It was 89, and I had a superintendent of a high school that had a sighting, and she said it was a triangle-shaped craft that was so big in Arnold, Missouri, that it blocked out the stars in the sky. This thing, I mean, they were driving. She and her daughter were at dance. Her daughter was at dance class, and as they're driving, they saw this shadow and they pulled over, and this thing was just triangle so big it just blocked out the entire sky, quietly moved and just kept on going. And she said, I've
seen the same thing.
Yeah, tell her your story. It's fascinating.
It was I live just outside of Wichita, Kansas, and I was visiting a friend who lives downtown. This was 1999-ish, and I'm an amateur astronomer, so anytime I go outside at night, the first thing I do is look up. I'm looking at the stars. I'm looking to see what I can see. That's my hobby. That's my thing. But we were going to go out back and like smoke cigars and tell tall tales or whatever it is. He went to the bathroom. He's like, "Oh, I'll go ahead on out now." And I'm standing in his backyard, heavy, city light glow in the sky. So you're not going to see the dimmer stars, but I was still looking because that's what I do. And almost directly overhead, I just like sensed movement out of the corner of my eye, and I looked like straight up, and it was like the sky being like a pitch black, and then there was something like one shade lighter than that I couldn't even make out the shape exactly, but it was something that was moving, that I could see that something was moving. What I saw had no lights on it at all. It was just a black form. And being an astronomy nerd, I'm like, okay, I see these stars in front of it, and it was blocking out stars as it went. I got the impression it was kind of triangle shaped, but I'm not that married to it because a dark gray something on a black background, the edges are the first thing you're going to lose, kind of an idea. But it was just slowly moved, probably 8 to 10 seconds worth of sighting of it going due east from where I was at there in downtown Wichita, and no lights, no sound, nothing like that. So it was very strange. I've not seen anything like that before.
And 8 to 10 seconds, that's a long time.
It is.
So
it was very slowly moving. If it would be like, the size, a little smaller than like the size of my hand at arm's length, holding it overhead as it was going over, and getting smaller, of course, as it progressed to the east. So it was certainly, there was something there. I don't know what exactly it was. I kind of got the impression, where's my prop I normally use? But if it was triangular shaped or wedge shaped or whatever, the front of it as it was moving would have been like the flat side of a triangle. That's what the way that the stars would disappear was, like all in a line, as they would, like it was a solid something. It could have been even square shaped, but I got the impression it was flat on the front and tapered off to a point in the back like a triangle.
Wow.
Fascinating. Jess had an experience just a few years ago too. You can tell her about that, because that's pretty cool too.
Yeah,
There's all kinds of stuff tonight.
It was very similar to Enzo's. I'd gone out, it was actually in October. I had gone out to take out my trash. It was around 10:30, 11, so it had been dark for a while, and it was a beautiful night. Caney isn't a very bright little town, so we get a lot of stars. And I looked up, and the stars were beautiful that night, so I took a few steps out into my yard, out from underneath my eaves where my porch light was on, just to look real quick. And from the southeast, over the tops of my trees, I saw some movement. And at first, you think bird, and I'm like, no birds out at this time. And it came up over the tree line. And that's when I realized it was a triangle that I was looking at. And then I thought drone, and I was like, no, I can't hear any whirring sounds from a drone. And by the time it got partway over my yard, it picked up the light from my porch, and I could see that it was a solid black triangle shape. And it, like Enzo said, it was moving very slowly over the top of me. And I stood there, and I actually turned in place so I could watch it as it went over the top of my head and then over my roof line of my house. And just before it went out of sight, I could see on the back end of it, I didn't see any lights at first, but on the very back of it were these very dim little lights, and they moved like this on the back side of it. And I watched it go, it traveled until it was completely out of sight. And I called Pam right away to let her know, because I couldn't believe that I had seen something that up close and personal. And then I'm going to ask you this, because you interview all of these people that have had experiences. As I was talking to her about what I'd seen and was kind of retracing what had happened and telling her about it, I suddenly got this feeling of unease, like I was being watched and I needed to get back in my house as fast as I could. And then I spent the next 3 or 4 nights not wanting to leave my house. If it was dark, I couldn't be outside. I closed the windows, I locked the doors. I was just nervous of what was going to be sitting on the other side of that window. Which is very strange for me. I'm a paranormal investigator. I usually run towards things. So for me to have this, like, it was like a deep-seated fear. Has anybody ever reported that, or?
I've had 2 different explanations for that. One is that they're actually, I guess, telepathically being told, this isn't safe. You just need to go in and don't be here. It's just kind of the feeling given to them. And the other is that just kind of a fear, like a soldier. And then when he comes back home, and then he's like, my dad was in World War II. And when he was sleeping, if you dropped something loud, he would jump. You knew not to go around him, because he'd swing his arms. Yeah. So, I mean, it's 2 different explanations. It could,
PTSD. Yeah, that kind
exactly.
of
And it could have been that, just the fear later on hit you. Or I've had people tell me too that they just had a feeling that they just better not go outside. I'm the many years that I've been investigating, I think there's only been a couple times where my brother and I were outside of Roswell and had strange things happen to us. And rather than stay there, we were it's the middle of the night, stay there and investigate. He saw the look on my face and I said, we need to leave now. And he goes, let's go. And he didn't even ask a question. It was just all of a sudden, something told me, I thought, we don't need to be here. It's not going to turn out very good. And there's always another day to investigate. But I always tell people, make sure listen to that little voice in your head, because I don't know if it's deja vu. I don't know if it's somebody trying to tell you something. I don't care what it is. If you're in a dark alley, if you're going to go out, whatever it is, if that little voice in your head, listen to it. And I've had that only a couple different times in 25 years, but it is all of a sudden you just get like this sick feeling and you think, yeah, this isn't going to turn out well. I'm done.
That's kind of the feeling that, because when she was on the phone with me, she was just talking about it, telling me what she's seeing. And then all of a sudden she's like, I got to go. And was like hanging up the phone and was gone. And I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah. And too, being an investigator, that's not normal.
No.
And you're like, oh, let's follow this and this. I mean, I have chased things down, and I mean, I have taken my Jeep, and you'll believe the places I've taken my Jeep and gone looking for things and run through trees and run through. And then when all of a sudden you get that little voice that goes, yeah, you don't do this. You don't do it.
Yeah.
And then you don't get it very often. So
right, I'm pushing it. You can back off.
Yeah.
When you hear it, it's serious, because that doesn't happen very often. I know it's a little spooky, but it's kind of the fun of all of this too, though. Nothing's ever the same. There's a whole lot of similar, but everything's a little bit different. Every investigation a little bit different.
Yep.
Well, I had one. Oh my gosh. It was up north in St. Louis. And we have this lady that she has things that are disappearing, and then stuff comes back, and she's got video cameras, security cameras, and she couldn't find her glasses. And so she wanted to see where she put them. So she plays back the video camera, and she has her glasses. The glasses are sitting on the ledge. I guess it's like a little brick ledge. She sees a hand come out and take them just out of nowhere and take her glasses.
Wow.
She's like, what? And she watches a little while later, and she finally goes out and she goes, can I have my glasses back? And she doesn't get her glasses, and she goes back in, and a little while later she sees a hand come out and a face halfway and put them back. So we went over to investigate, because she was also seeing craft. I mean, that's not usually, we don't do ghosts, but we thought maybe it's like a timeline. So my sister and our assistant state director, Margie Kay, and I were there with the witness, and we could see something. We went that one area. It was just like pillared off with the house, and then pillars, and then her backyard. And I'm looking through my Aurora camera, and I said, I can see like a field. You could see like waves right where that was. We'd already tested it, and just one center area, the temperature dropped. But there wasn't any EMF, and there wasn't any radiation. I had my Geiger counter thing, but just the temperature dropped. So I'm looking through the Aurora camera. I go, I think this thing is like the waves that we can see at our camera are moving closer. I'm going to go see if I feel anything. Oh, yeah, real smart of me. I go over there, and if they've got the video of it, I go over there, and I put my arm straight out, and I'm like, ow, I can feel tingly. And they start screaming. They go, your arm disappeared. I go, what? And they go, we can't see your arm. Now, I could see my arm, but I don't know if maybe the front of my face, because they could only see the back of my head. Maybe my face was in this field too, and my arm. But my arm disappeared from like my elbow to my fingertips. And they're going, we want to take more video and keep your arm there. I said, it's starting to hurt. It was kind of like pins and needles, like you could, and then getting stronger and stronger, kind of like when you go outside and you get really, really cold and your hands start to thaw, and, like, ow. And I'm going, wait a minute. And so I just took my arm out, and they're going like, oh, that was incredible. So Margie goes over and she puts her hand in. When she takes her fingers out, they kind of elongate.
Right.
Wow.
So I don't even know what that was, but there are craft. She sees a lot of craft in that area, and there's strange things that she's picking up on video. We're thinking maybe there's a portal or something over there, but it's really Margie's case, not mine. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, but never at any of that did I ever feel like I was in danger. I just put my arm out. I go, this kind of hurts. And I
Did
think
you notice any other ill effects from
no, not at all.
doing
The moment I moved my arm back, it was fine. But if I would put my arm back in there, I could feel this tingling, and the longer I kept it in there, the more, the stronger that was.
It makes me think of the Meadow Project.
Yeah, a lot.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I never thought of. I just wanted to see if I could feel like maybe the air heavy or anything. I never thought my arm would disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna rethink
you may
things.
want to get a Geiger counter the next time you go out
I
investigating.
did. I had a Geiger counter. We checked the area. There was no.
And you didn't have
radiation.
anything on there?
No, there was none of that. We had it. We ran an EMF meter, a Geiger counter. What was the other? There was another meter that Margie had. She ran. No, the only thing that I picked up was that one area about this big. When I put my little temperature gauge, it dropped 20 degrees just in a circle area.
Wow.
Just that big. That was
20 is
it.
a lot.
And yeah, and I mean, and it wasn't in another. I mean, there was the trifold meter she had. I mean, so we don't know what that was, but my arm disappeared. And I thought, I'm not going to do that again because I mean, it could have pulled me all the way in, whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm not
Curiosity over fear, but dang.
Yeah.
Well, I was too. I investigate UFOs. I don't
Yeah, exactly.
investigate that kind. I don't know what that was, but it was related
Sign up for a
somehow.
portal, man.
Yeah, I guess it was. That's why there's so much activity. I think there's some kind of a portal in that area, and
Do
it's not.
you feel
only
there may be some crossover between the whole paranormal umbrella, your basic, your ghosts, your cryptids, your UFOs? Do you feel there's crossover between any or all of those?
Well, I'm finding yes, because we've got an investigator from Sedalia, Brett, who started out a ghost hunter, and he had all the equipment and everything, and he said they've had a crossover where people aren't seeing a ghost, they're thinking it's alien. And so he and a couple of his friends, but they had moved on to something else. But he's still one of our best investigators. And I mean, the guy came with all the equipment and everything. And yeah, there was a crossover. And so now he's investigating UFOs as well, because there is. And I think the same with us. I'm not sure if people that don't have something that's maybe coming interdimensionally, then maybe they think it's a ghost and maybe it's a being, or maybe,
I 100% agree. If you're willing to accept for any of those three, primary fields, if you're willing to accept interdimensional as part of it, that encompasses everything. And there is no bottom to that very deep well of wacko crazy stuff that it could possibly be, because interdimensional, it literally could be anything.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know.
No, there's so much more we don't know than what we do know. That, I mean, that's what makes all this intriguing. But that's something that, that's out of my realm. I investigate UFOs. I gather trace evidence, that type of thing. I investigate water sightings, and then all of a sudden, that was part of a UFO investigation, and we got the night camera set up. I go, what's that? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that again. That's out of my and one of the best investigations, one of the most fun that we ever had. We had these ghost hunters who called and said that they had seen a Bigfoot. And that's what it was. They seen a Bigfoot. So they called Margie Kay, and I went on the investigation with it. So it was in south of Kansas City, Missouri. So they're duck hunters, and these duck hunters they're ghost hunters who went duck hunting. And then when they went duck hunting, in 3 strides, a Bigfoot went right across the road in front of them. And they said, what was that? There was huge 2-lane. It only took 3 strides to get across. So they set up all these cameras. They said, okay, now we're going to hunt for Bigfoot. They had the camera set up. They caught on the cameras, night vision and all this stuff for ghost. They caught 2 triangle-shaped craft right on the horizon that were blinking in and out and moving around. So they call us and they go, okay, that's it. We are ghost hunters who went duck hunting, who saw a Bigfoot, set up cameras, and now we got that's they say we are way out of our expertise. And so we went over and they had a big old screen in the family room, and sure enough, they had these two right on the horizon triangle shaped craft that were just kind of like phasing in and out, and they caught it on camera.
That's
and I said, what do you want us to do with it? They said, we just wanted somebody else to see it, but you know, this is kind of our video. And we said, that's your choice, it's your video. But that I thought was one of the crazier investigations.
That's wild. It's a little bit of everything. We do have some questions in the comments. We've got Angela asking, let's see. I'm curious if any of the experiencers are like gate kept, like isolated by both MIB types as well as the others.
Are any of the
like UFO experiencers?
Oh,
have any of them been like isolated by? Has anyone reported to you and then like basically been disappeared or told to shut up?
I've been told not to talk about this to you.
I wasn't really sure you meant by experiences, if you meant abductees or investigators or.
She could mean that. Angela, you might want to clarify that for us. But yeah.
As far as abductees, that's not really my expertise. When we get, I investigate, like I said, water and craft and trace evidence. We have a whole team in MUFON that are the people that they're trained to deal with how to help somebody through an abduction. And we're one of the few groups that does that. They'll contact the person back, and then there's someone that they can talk to and they can comfort and they can give them advice or not give them advice. Or, but that's not my expertise on that, because I mean, there's so many different realms of all this. You know, we have our photo video analyst, we have people that do remote viewing, we have people that are, you know, the ERT experts, and you know, there's so many different specialties that, you know, if you have to almost focus on a couple. So I focus on the water and I focus on craft sightings in the state of Missouri. And I had people say, well, what about this state? We got investigators in all 50 states and 43 countries. And so, you know, I intermingle with some of the other people. I just had somebody that from Canada who gave me, Jermaine, he gave me his book on abduction. Not abductions, mutilations, cow mutilations, which is something else too. We have experts in cow and animal mutilations. I've been on 8 of those investigations that just by circumstance, you know, there was a craft and then, you know, a mutilated animal. But as far as investigators being told not to go around, oh yeah, I've been told go home. I've been followed home. I went on an investigation in Kansas and Scammon, Kansas.
Yeah.
That's been, oh my gosh, maybe 2011 or 12, or it was a STAR team thing, and they sent me over there. And I was supposed to meet somebody else who was a no-show, but my license plate, his UFO spy. I mean, I was handing out MUFON cards. I was investigating a UFO, and I rubbed some people the wrong way. That basically, I got followed home by a government car, 6.5-hour drive all the way to my county line, and then they rolled down their window and waved at me, and then went in front of me, and then left.
Holy crap. That's it. Just in case you're thinking it might not be us, it's really us.
Yeah, they go. But they told me, they said, there's nothing here for you to see. You need to leave. And I said, well, I'm leaving because I'm done with the investigation anyway. I came all this way, interviewed the witnesses. There's nothing else to interview. I've gotten the report that I need. They said it was because they were running an investigation on a meth lab, and they thought that I was an informant. And I said, I have UFO spy on my life.
Meth lab.
I mean, no, I didn't come all the way from Missouri to mess up your meth lab bust. And I said,
we got our own high quality meth in Missouri. Yeah. Thank you. We don't need your crappy Kansas meth lab.
I said, do I look like a person who uses meth? I mean, seriously. And so then I had a police officer, the government car was following me, and then I was parked to do it, finishing my report, and a policeman came over and he goes, "Can you hurry up? You're making these feds nervous." And he started laughing. He was a local Kansas state trooper, and I said, "Is that who that is?" And he goes, "Yeah, you see the car that with the blacked out windows?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "See the pickup behind them? That's their backup." I go, "For me? Seriously?" So yeah,
I would intentionally
Anybody that wants
slow
to read
roll
more about
everything.
That's
Yeah.
actually in Ben's book on.
Oh, is that in the book?
It is, yeah. I don't know if the entire story is in the book, but it does
Oh.
talk about you being chased by
Yeah,
vehicle. Yeah.
I've watched them. They followed me home from conferences. My phone. I mean, I had one guy one time. He kept telling me his name was John, and he kept telling me these outrageous stories. I'm like, okay,
John
follow
Smith.
MUFON report. And then he called me one day and he said he's telling me all about he and his son and how interested they are in baseball. And then he starts telling me about this UFO sighting, and he's going on and on and on. I go, okay, so John, you and your son are really interested in baseball, aren't you? And he goes, oh yeah, we're interested in baseball. And I go, really? Because I'm trying to watch Game 4 of the World Series on TV and you're interrupting me. I mean, so how interested in baseball are you actually, and who are you really? Because obviously you're misrepresenting yourself. And he goes, oh, is the game on tonight? I go, yeah, real fan.
Yeah, big fan.
So no, I've never felt really, really threatened. I've been just escorted around, but no one's ever told me that, if you keep on doing this or whatever, we're going to take you out. And I've always told all my investigators too, that if you could hear somebody listening in on your phone, and I had that for years. I said, you've got the capability of taking whatever you want off my computer. You can go on, take what you want. If there's something you want that you don't have and you think that I have and you need it, I'll give it to you. I'm a volunteer. I don't get paid for this. I'm not going to be a government spy. I'm not going to go against, I'm not going to commit treason. Whatever it is you want, just let me know. I'll give it to you, but then in exchange, maybe you can give me some information too.
So if you have someone like Angela was saying that might be an experiencer, she did clarify she is an experiencer, a 12-year one, and she's having problems getting her story or getting assistance with it, who could she contact through MUFON, or would she just need to just contact MUFON?
She can go on MUFON.com and file a sighting report. And there's two choices. You can go on and it's a report of a sighting, or you're an abductee, and you check mark one or the other. And then if you check mark abductee, then there's a whole list of questions that they ask, just background questions, how long has this been going on? And, I've never filled one out, but I know the people who designed the forms. And so I know what the questions are. And then at the end, I think they ask them if they wish to be contacted by someone, and then someone will call them, and it's all kept confident. Their name is absolutely not given out at all. A lot of the information, it's kept very, very private, and especially if you want to make sure to, and then you don't really even, I'm probably not supposed to say that, but really you even have to give your your real name if you don't feel comfortable. But oh, absolutely. Even if you file a report, any kind of a sighting report, as a state director, I can see there's view and edit, and I can go into the edit part. And I can see all the information. So can our chief investigator and our assistant state director. But all our investigators in our state can only see view. So they can only see, I believe it's the witness's first name and no address of somebody else's case that they're not working on. Now, if I go into Kansas, I can only see view. So I can go into MUFON, Kansas, and look at all the states. I can look at all the cases, look at all the cases across the world, but I only get view. I don't get personal information, and I'm on the board of directors. So we do our very, very best. The information is there, the location, but not the address. So they could say like Arnold, Missouri, Highway 6167, or maybe just Arnold, Missouri. And, the person's name was John. And this is the time and the date. You can do a good investigation, to triangulate or to correlate your own cases with that information without having to have the exact witness's name. So you can tell the experiencer that absolutely anything that she tells will be kept confidential.
Very cool. Then Chelsea had a question. With working on underwater recovery, have you ever witnessed strange behavior in any wildlife in an infected area? Fish acting strange, muskrats or beavers acting strangely?
In the water, in the water, I had a water sighting. It was on January 25th, 2006. I was diving. I was on a Royal Caribbean ship, Explorer of the Seas, diving all day in St. Martin. And when you go diving off of a ship, they pick you up in the morning. They take you out diving. They bring you back about 4:30. The ship leaves at 6. You don't get to see anything at all on the island. And it was only my second cruise. So I came in, at 4:30. I changed clothes, and then everybody else is getting on the ship. I'd already showered and changed, so I'm taking pictures as we leave port. 20 minutes out from St. Martin, headed to St. Thomas. Now, keep in mind, I'd been diving in St. Martin all day. 2 dives, but we were in the water snorkeling in between. So 20 minutes out towards St. Thomas, I look over, we're too far away to take any more pictures. I look over to that would be starboard, the right hand going forward, the right hand side of the ship. And there's 2 craft that are shape of saucer shape. They were like this, like the size of maybe a compact car. They were moving like this, hovering over the water about 10, 15 foot right over the top of the water. And they were, of course, farther apart. I'd even noticed there was a third one coming in on the top. And my first reaction was I turned around to see if there was a reflection from the ship onto the water. I turned back around and we were leaving them behind. So I took off running and got one very good picture, which I color. It's in my book, The Alien Colonization of Earth's Waterways. But I got one very good picture of it. And then I watched in the distance as we left them behind. They wouldn't let me talk to the captain or anybody. Nobody saw anything. Back in 2006, that's before you could pick your own dinner time. It was either 6:30 or 8:30. So at 20 after 6, the 6:30 people were lined up for dinner, and the 8:30 dinner people had come in when the ship was leaving, and they're in there showering and changing. And, so the only people out there on the deck were people picking up towels and straightening away chairs. And so it was just me, but I got a picture. And the interesting part was that all my pictures from that moment on went from January 25th to February 5th. And the time was 11 hours in the future. So when I took that picture, there was I guess, electromagnetic field of some type that I was involved in that messed up the settings on my camera. So I maybe didn't. Oh, yeah, that's it. You've got that. Yeah, that's the close-up of one of them. You can see the picture underneath.
Look at that.
That's their 2, one, one, yeah, right over.
How big do you think that was?
That's a close-up there, but they were about the size of like a little compact car, like a little Nissan.
Wow.
Just, elongated, and
Wow.
probably maybe 100 foot off of the ship. And I was over the railing, so it was like a opened window area. It wasn't through plexiglass or anything. It wasn't a reflection because I saw them. I was steady, on the railing like this, taking the picture.
That's amazing.
About the size of cars, about the size of small cars. So as far as animal reaction, I mean, there really, there wasn't much. I could hear the wind of the ship was moving very fast, and I didn't hear anything from them. I only just happened to see them because I'm walking toward the bow of the ship, and there it's bright blue with a blue sky and 2 orange things hovering over the top of the water. They were really easy to see. As far as anything else in the water, we've had, oh my gosh, I don't know what was going on here, but in 2011, we had something weird that went on and still haven't figured it out. We had blackbirds that dropped out of the sky 50, 60 at a time. Just a blackbird, just dead all over sections of the road, like a whole flock of them. But we also had it with fish. And there were a lot of rivers and streams where it was just one species of fish that were dead floating around the shore. Now, if it was something poisonous, why wasn't it all the fish? But it would be one species and then another species, but the birds were just blackbirds, and they were just dropping out of the sky, hitting cars, and just like the whole flock just went down. I don't know what was going on with that, but 2011 was the year that Missouri had our UFO flap. And I believe it was October 4th, we had almost 100 sightings in one evening in the Kansas City area. And we were able to explain some of them, but not very many of them. There was a giant craft that was seen over Raytown. So all this was going on around the same time. Also in 2011, if you remember, that's when Joplin had the big F5 tornado.
Yep.
That was in May. In April, St. Louis got hit by an I think it was an F2 or 3 that took out Concourse C. We also, in Sykeston, we had a 4.9 earthquake that year. In January, we had record snow. So something happened in 2011. We even documented there was, if you go on Heavens Above and you can find out where all the satellites were, there was the last 2 weeks of October of that year, there were unknown satellites. And I called a friend of mine. I said, what's an unknown satellite? What, it's on Heavens Above. We should know the names. He goes, those are usually Russian satellites. And for 2 weeks, they were repositioned to pass right over Missouri. So something strange went on in Missouri. Whatever it was, we had an abundance. A UFO flap. A UFO flap is when you have a more than normal amount of sightings. I think we had more than double the sightings that we'd had the year before, sighting reports. And that's when we had strange animal reactions, strange birds and fish. And so that's a very good example. And I have no idea why. I even did a whole PowerPoint on it at one of the MUFON symposiums, trying to figure out. We never did figure out what happened in 2011.
Huh. That's strange. I don't know.
There certainly does seem to be.
Yeah, I don't know if all the things that went on were because there were a lot of sightings and it was like cause and effect, or if all the sightings were because all that was going on, it was curiosity.
Right.
Could have gone either way.
Yeah.
There are certainly like pockets around the world where they go through a UFO flap, where for like a period of like a couple of weeks, there's just insane activity that's never been seen before, and then just nothing.
Right. Just nothing.
What? Like
the
today,
UFO flap, the one in 1973, Harley Rutledge came out from the university in Cape Girardeau, and he was only supposed to be out. He got funding for 2 weeks. He stayed till 1980. He investigated that for 8 years or 7 years, for 7 years. And when he set up that very first night, he was videotaping. He was taking pictures. I think he did. I don't know if he got video or not, but he was seeing blue lights dancing around in the woods and lights dancing over the. So, I mean, that was kind of it. So that flap, that's why, that warranted a book, because that flap lasted for 7 years. But you're right. Sometimes we had the other one. It started about August. We had the strange sounds. I even got one on recording. Remember those strange sounds that you were hearing all over the world?
The sky booms or the trumpets or stuff like that?
Yeah. My husband and I were sleeping. It was 3:10 in the morning, and the sound was so loud it woke us up, and it sounded like that sound on War of the Worlds when the machines, the one was that Keanu, was that Keanu Reeves, or was that the newer War of the Worlds when the machine, or was that
Yeah, it was Tom Cruise, I think.
Tom Cruise? Yes, it was Tom Cruise.
Dakota Fanning and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise. When that machine came out from under the ground and it made that roar, it was making that sound, and it woke us up. We ran outside and to see what it was, and you could hear it coming from the sky. And I went and got my tape recorder, and just as I got the tape recorder, the sound changed to, it sounded like something moving underwater. It was like, bo, 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 bo. And I got about 2 minutes of that. And then, while this was going on, you couldn't hear a bird or a bug or anything. This was, I think, August 4th of 2011. You couldn't hear a cricket, nothing. It was just still. And then it just stopped. I mean, not like slowly stopped, just dead stopped. That was another thing that happened in 2011. We had the sounds here. People were hearing underground sounds. They were hearing like
Right.
a rumbling. They heard a lot of that in Illinois too. Did you get that in Kansas too?
I don't know if we did.
Not as
Did
far
we?
as I know.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
The Debbie, the underwater sound that you recorded, all that. Did other people in the area record that similar thing, or do you feel like, with your background, was that specifically just for you?
Oh,
sound?
that sound that night that I recorded, it I tried to call 911 and the lines were flooded. And so this was late Saturday, was well, Sunday morning, 3:10 in the morning, Sunday morning. So the next morning, I mean, I got up, I was going to take off and drive. My husband goes, "What are you going to drive it? The sound's coming from above." I talked to a police officer friend of mine and I said, I called 911 and, I couldn't get through. And he said, "Call this dispatch number." And he said, "This is a better number. I know this lady." So I called her at about, that was probably about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And she said, "I didn't come on until about 6 o'clock this morning." And she said, "They told me to tell people that it was the MSD sewer plant, that a turbine had malfunctioned." Well, as the crow flies, this turbine is like 3 miles away, 3 or 4 miles away. And she said, "But what's odd is the sound, every report we got was all within 1/4 of a mile. Nobody else heard the sound. It was within 1/4 of a mile." I went to the fire department and they said they were a new crew that came on, but the other guys hadn't said anything. I went to the gas station and the guy at the gas station said, "People have been coming in going, 'Did you hear that sound last night?'" Everybody within 1/4 of a mile. I thought I checked the railroad to find out maybe if there was they were doing work on the tracks or something. The railroad, the railroad tracks just down the road. No one was doing, there was nothing going on there. MoDOT wasn't working, doing anything with material. I went over to the MSD plant, which was, the 3.5 or 4.5 miles as the crow flies away. And it was a Sunday, August. And there were people were out by then, like by the time I got over there was like 10:30, 11. They're out barbecuing and there were kids at the park. And I started asking people, I said, "Did you hear any sound last night?" They go, "No." I said, the MSD plant's right there. There's a field and there's a plant. It's right there and you didn't hear anything? They go, "No, nobody heard anything." And they were right next to, in sight of the MSD plant. But we're like 3.5, 4.5 or whatever miles
They're
away.
supposed to tell you that.
She did too. She told me, she goes, they told me to tell you, or to tell people that called, that that's what it was. And I said, "Do you have any idea what it is?" She goes, "I don't know. I didn't hear it." She said, I wasn't on duty.
Ian said sewage works are the new weather balloons.
Oh yeah, we had the weather. I had that Chinese balloon in sight by my house 2.5 hours hovering, because we have the geospectacle government mapping place in Arnold. It's this government building right across from Home Depot. We all call it the mapping place. And then we have Scott Air Force Base just 35 miles away. So that Chinese balloon was hovering. I got pictures of it, and it affected my camera.
Yeah, they were doing more than
Real.
I got 2 pictures with my cell phone. My cell phone went dead. Then I have a little HD video camera, and I got about 23 seconds of video with that, and then it just started blurring, and I got no pictures at all. It blurred out and wouldn't focus. And then it started to get dark, and I got my Aurora camera and took video and pictures with that. And when I pulled the little chip out, the little SD card, I'll put it in my computer, it said error, nothing copied to it.
Man.
So This
That
stuff.
sucks.
Yeah, I know. I'm in a very interesting area here.
Yeah, no kidding. One thing I would do, I did, let me pull it up here. So, hang on, not mess it up is what I'm going to do. So the video that I sent you that we had talked about, I have one of them up here to share with everybody so they can kind of get an idea of the lights that we're seeing in the area. This video, I double checked. It was taken January 25th of 2023. And I just talked to them a couple of nights ago, and they have pretty much not every night, but continuously seen these lights between that time and this time. You know, they just did a live with some of the lights showing up just 2 or 3 nights ago. So, and sometimes they're on the west side of their house looking towards Caney because they live about 10 miles east of Caney. And other times they see it east. And usually if they see it east, it's 4:30 in the morning, about the time the husband's going to work. That particular live that they did, they saw that just like, it's interesting, like you were saying, just pretty close to sunset, you know, it's about that time. And it shows the lights coming in and out of the tree line. And it's very cool. But let me pull this up to share with the audience here. Hang on, I hit the wrong button, of course. There we go. Good grief. Hit the right button. There we go. Okay. Let me hit start on here. And you'll see right off the bat, you can see that light right there. So keep an eye on it. And it'll give you a good idea. Justin did an excellent job because he got points, you know.
Very bright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Pam's been saying, we see these. These are seen.
This is raw. I haven't done anything to it, so it's
yeah. Consistently for a few years now. We've gotten multiple reports from people, especially people who are, you know, have late night jobs, or we even have one lady who's kept us updated. She's kind of she's a gym person, and the only time she gets to go is late at night, and she was seeing these nearly nightly on her way home from the gym at about 3:34 in the morning. So consistently, in fact, she started, much to my dismay, she started using a flashlight to flash back at them and was getting their attention. And at one point she had signaled with this one particular one that had been dancing around, and it actually came towards her close enough that it scared her back into her house. I was like, well, you get what you asked for.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
We had that happen to us by accident.
This is something that I've been kind of looking into for the last couple of years. One interesting thing to note, so a lot of these take place near a little airport that we have, and at first I assumed it might be birds at night flying over the landing strip, and perhaps the lights from underneath were kind of lighting the birds up a little bit. You know, the birds would obviously be attracted to the lights of the landing strip. However, they're not actually sitting over the airstrip where these lights occur at. And an oddity I found was that I would watch them and head straight towards them on some of the back roads we have here. But once you hit a certain point, you couldn't see them in front of you anymore. And once you traveled past that point and would look back, you couldn't see them from the back side. You can only see them from one direction. And then they disappear when you get too close. Or they leave.
Yeah. You can't triangulate it if you try and view it from a different angle. Yeah.
You can't go on the back side and see it.
Oh, so, wow, that's it. That's interesting because we did that experiment in 2008, Marley Woods, with Ted Phillips. Ted Phillips and Tom Ferrario went on the opposite end. We had walkie-talkies, and we know they only had a 1/4 mile range, They were at one end of the Marley light, and my brother and I and some other people and the witnesses, the ranchers, were at the other. We videotaped the light. We could see it. We were hollering. And then, do you see it? The people from the side couldn't. And Ted and Tom at the other end, on the other side of the light, couldn't see it. We're on walkie-talkies and saying, it's bright as day. We could see it. They couldn't. Same thing, Marley Woods. You can look into that. The whole Marley Woods. That it's kind of like the Skinwalker Ranch of Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And this is only the only other time I've ever heard that you could only see them from. We tried that. You only see them from one angle, and that might be some reason why too that a lot of people don't see these things, because you just have to have the right, I guess, field of view. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's incredibly interesting. And the fact that they're so absolutely consistent, and this isn't something that, we've had for years and years. This has just popped up in the last 2, maybe 3 years. And, well, you know as well as we do, these smaller rural towns, we all get around, we all know everyone. So if a strange light would pop up, everyone would know about it very quickly. So it's not as if these have been around for a long time and then somebody just started noticing them.
Yeah.
It's just popped up. And like I said, it's not actually close enough to the airport to say it's birds. And, like I said, I tried from different directions to see them. And you can only see them from the one direction. And once you get too close, they either flitter out or they blip out completely. They're just gone. It's very interesting.
I videotaped one of the Marley lights, and we took it frame by frame when it just blinked out, and frame by frame by frame, it went straight down. So maybe do that when you look at the video and try and look at it frame by frame by frame, and you might be able to see, because that surprised us. It was there and it just like blinked out. No, it just dimmed, and then we watched it just go straight down to the ground.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was the same way, you could only see it from one side. They could even see it from the side. I mean, we had people at both ends on this big ranch, and head on you could see it. From behind you couldn't, and from the sides they couldn't.
That's fascinating. It kind of explains why not a lot of people are seeing these too, that are in the area.
Why your neighbor, maybe your next door neighbor, doesn't see it, that. Yeah. Oh,
we need to see if we can have a watch party out at these friends' house sometime.
I'd love to do an investigation out there myself. So.
That'd be really cool. We'll have to talk to them and see if they would be open to that or not.
Yeah.
But they did give me permission to share these two. I didn't have permission to share the live, but I had permission to share these two. They're fascinated. They're a little kind of leery about, they're like, especially the live, they were like, should we be talking about this? Is this something we need to worry about? Well, I mean, they're too worried about it. Surely they wouldn't be flitting around out there, for everybody to see. So I don't know.
Yeah, they're not worried about us. I mean, it goes on more than people know, because not a whole lot of people go outside and look at the night sky. We get a lot of sightings around 4th of July, and some people say, well, that's because it's the fireworks and all. And then of course we get sky lanterns, but people are actually outside.
Yeah.
And it's
right.
just,
people are actually looking up in the sky.
Exactly. They're out there looking up at the sky and they're going, oh yeah, fireworks. What's that? You have to be real careful now, though, because they have drones.
What do you mean there's something up there?
Fireworks. Right. Yeah, it's there, and it's interesting. And if you're lucky enough to catch something,
we saw a lot of that. People aren't used to looking at things in the sky at night. Like last year during the New Jersey drone thing. I looked at hundreds and hundreds of videos that people are taking of these things, and they were just regular planes. They were near an airport. They were either coming in to land or taking off and things like that. It's like, that's been there this whole time. You just never noticed it before.
Never noticed. They're all outside looking for the drones. Yeah,
right.
we had an interesting sighting, and it was in December. We had just left our MUFON Christmas party. So whatever the third Wednesday was in December of 2024. And we're on 141. I headed on South 55. Two of our other investigators, they were riding together. They headed north on 55. I barely got onto the highway and I saw this thing that it was square and it had like a green, red, red, green light just coming at me. It was tiny and then got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I thought, what is this giant square coming at me? I mean, it was square. And I thought, could that be a drone? But the light configuration was wrong. And then it was just coming at me. And then all of a sudden it just went like this and just went sideways and headed right into Illinois. But as that was happening, the people that went in the other direction, one had a brand new car. So he was paying attention to the road. It's like the second time he drove the car. The passenger, the other investigator, saw this big orange ball of light that came down and went right across the windshield and went up. And this was almost at the same time that I saw one thing in one direction. He saw something in the other. Strangest thing. And we left our MUFON meeting and saw that. And that was right around the time of all the drones. I assumed it was a drone, but the more I thought about it, and it wasn't a drone. I don't know what it was, but I can't find the same configuration of lights, the size, that it was going slow. It was only doing, I guess, about 30 miles an hour. I was doing probably 65. It was in a 70 mile an hour, but I was just getting started onto the highway and people saw it. That's one reason why I could, there was several lanes, 2 lanes to get off the highway. I couldn't get off the highway because it was too far over. Plus an 18-wheeler in front of me was going like this because cars were slamming on the brakes. Everybody was looking up at this thing coming right dead straight across the highway. And then just coming like this and then just go like that sideways.
That's crazy.
And
Wow.
I mean, people saw it. No one ever reported it to MUFON. But a lot of people saw it. And I was just trying not to get rear-ended or hit somebody because everybody was hitting the brakes and looking up.
I wonder how many reports actually get made to MUFON as opposed to how many sightings there actually are.
Oh, I couldn't even, very few compared to what's going on, because I have people that tell me things all the time. And did you report that? No. So hopefully there'll be more and more. I think there's going to be more and more interest too. And I think a lot of people were afraid. I have a lot of older people now that are telling me things that happened when they were in the military. Yeah. Because now they said, well, everybody's talking about it now, but we were told you cannot talk about this or your family will disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of that went on in Roswell. I mean, Glenn Dennis, he told me that he was they always called him the mortician, but he wasn't. He said, I drove the hearse. But he said that there was a big redheaded soldier that threatened him. He showed up there in the base out of curiosity. He told him, get back into town. And he said, they'll never find they'll find you in the desert. If they do, it'll only be your bones.
Whoa.
So they're,
yeah.
So for people out there, if they do want to contact you or they want to get one of your books, how can they go about doing that?
Oh, you can go on Amazon, just type in Debbie Ziegelmeyer and my books will come up. And I think the Alien Colonization of Earth's Waterways, it's in 3 different formats. So the hardcover is pretty expensive, it's like $59, but I think it's $24.95 for the black and white copy. And then there's a color copy priced in between. So don't go and look and go, oh my gosh, and the other one, I mean, but they're both there. You can buy them on Amazon. And then if you want to file a report, just go to MUFON, MUFON.com and go on and file a report. And no matter what state you're in or what country you're in, somebody will contact you back. And we're the only organization out there that absolutely investigates every single sighting.
That's amazing.
I guess that's the unique part about MUFON, that we don't just take these reports and just stow them. And then also too, we have a library now, Project Aquarius, and last I heard there was over 250,000 plus. They're still adding information, sighting reports going back to 30s, 40s, 50s. And so those are available on there. I spent since 2016 forward helping with the redacting of those. And the redacting is only that we take off personal information. We take off their name, address, phone numbers, because my mom, to the day she died, had the same phone number,
Yeah.
so you can have somebody,
Mine.
right. And so we make sure and take all that out of there so no one gets contacted, but the report's there, and there's some incredible things. There's reports way back 40s and 50s and 30s even. And
Where can they find that again?
MUFON.com, and it's the library, Project Aquarius.
Okay.
And so the library's there. The site also tells the latest 20 sightings, and a lot of other information. Some of the more, you can go on for some of the more popular, more I guess well-known sighting reports. And then then you can become a member, and then with the member you have access to more and more and more information. You'll get the MUFON journal, and so
very cool. Ian's asking, do you guys feud
too.
with Bufora?
I'm sorry, what?
Ian asked, do you guys feud with Bufora?
No.
Is that the British or UK version?
No, and and actually, Project Aquarius, there's I think 5 maybe different organizations. A lot of them we've all got together and decided one big library. People, we're in ufology. We're all good friends. We share information, and the library is there. They had old sighting files, and a lot of them, their organizations don't exist anymore, but they're still there under their name in our library, given full credit.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So what we normally do at this time, and we'll go ahead and get started on that, is we play the notebooks game. So we kind of explained this to Debbie backstage, but for those in the audience that might not be aware of what it is, Jess is known as Notebooks because she writes everything in notebooks and has scads of them.
Oh, no.
And so what we do, she picks out 5 every podcast. And then anybody that wants to have something read, they choose a notebook 1 through 5, and then a page 1 through 100. And so if you guys want to start putting that in the chat right now, do you want to pick one, Debbie? Just pick a notebook 1 through 5, and then a page number 1 through 100.
1 through 5, 3 and 77.
Cool.
All right.
Well, Jess is looking that up, Debbie. Is there any one particular? You've done a lot of research. You've done a lot of investigations. Is there one investigation that kind of sticks out more in your mind than others, where it was just for whatever reason?
The one that we're working on now, still in St. Clair, we've been working on that. Our team now, there's been over 30 witnesses. Alien Highway filmed an episode there. We've got 4 different sites, and all the neighbors are seeing something. So that's still, it's ongoing, and it's interesting. That's where we've gotten the best video, where we've actually got video proof, and that thanks to the Aurora Psionics camera. That one, and I had a sighting in 2007 that I worked on, where there was a little girl that was abducted, and that one just that kind of always played on me a little bit. Her parent, she's fine, except the strange thing about it was that the parents pulled over to see this craft, and they didn't remember till a couple weeks later it was even a craft. But they took the parents' shoes and then took the little girl, and then brought the little girl back, and then gave the parents back their shoes. And the mom said, I would have left my daughter, and I always thought that was just really different. But that, the story, and if you know anything about the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the couple, they ended up about the same way, divorced, and that kind of ruined the family, and that just always bothered me.
Man, that's wild.
All right. So it's kind of appropriate. She picked kind of an appropriate
Uh-oh.
page. This is part of our crop circle investigation.
Oh.
Yeah. So what I do, Debbie, is whatever page you pick, I literally just read straight from it. There are notes that I've taken, or an interesting topic that I was studying on, notes to myself. You never know what you're going to get. This is part of a podcast that I did with another podcast group on crop circles. We did a big, huge, 2-part thing, so I'm just going to read it. On this page is the crop circle visualization experiment from July 1992. Woodborough Hill near Alton Barnes. 7 people decided to communicate with aliens through meditation. 5 people saw the same matching design in their own heads, and the next day the same design showed itself in the very field that they had been meditating in. A sand formation at Hug Point, Oregon in September 1994. A circle was found by a woman who was dowsing for energy along a beach. She found an odd energy path from the circle running straight at in a cave. She also took soil samples from the ring around and also control samples outside of the area. They took them for testing and found that they shared chemical charges, which were all very, very different. So why there was chemical charges inside the sand, I don't know. And then the famous Julia set. I have some of the start of that information on this page too. Stonehenge, Wiltshire, July 7th, 1996. Based on mathematical fractals, happened in broad daylight. A pilot saw it, Busty Taylor. He had gone over just 25 minutes earlier and seen no pattern there. And then there was an eyewitness account, which follows into the next page. So we did a huge, I think it was a UFO Garage podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fate, because my sister and I plan on going to Stonehenge in March for her birthday.
Oh.
Oh. I hope they had it cleaned up by then. There were some protesters that sprayed some paint on the Stonehenge stones here the other day. Yeah.
Oh.
Sure.
They want to spray paint, tell them to go to Cadillac Ranch.
Right.
I was there August 4th. I wrote MUFON all over everything.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Okay, Julie's is
Notebook 2, page 75.
so this is part of, what is this a part of? Let me look back a page. Oh, Project Pegasus. It's Project Pegasus stuff. So we're starting out on this page. We're talking about the Tesla array. After Tesla's death, one of his machines was set up at Building 68 at Curtiss Wright Air Force Base. It consisted of 2 elliptical-shaped booms between which a field of energy was broadcast. Tesla had listed it simply as an energetic array in his papers. The first man to try it was a technician. He walked between the booms, stumbled and fell forward and vanished. He popped out, supposedly, in Africa. It took him 6 weeks to make his way back. His advisor nearly passed out because they assumed he had been disintegrated by the device. This is when they realized that the Tesla array was in fact a transporter. And then moving on, 1968, age 6, Andrew Bisaggio made the first teleportation by a child in the U.S. His father took him to the Curtiss Wright Building 68 in Woodridge, New Jersey, where he stepped through the Tesla device. They jumped through together into an energy tunnel that was a bluish-white with holographic-type walls. When the tunnel closed, they found themselves 2,005 miles to the west in Santa Fe, New Mexico. They landed on the Santa Fe Capitol grounds and were picked up by a government car and taken to nearby Los Alamos National Labs, where they met with Dr. Harold Agnew from the Manhattan Project, who was the director of the Weapons Division. And then it goes on to start to talk about the Gettysburg mission. So what all this is we did a show on Andrew Bisaggio and his claims of having been part of this huge group of children that were brought in to test out all of these these transports and the Tesla arrays and stuff that they were using to send people back in time and forward in time and sometimes sideways in time.
Yeah. Pretty wild. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one's Angela with Notebook 3, page 33.
That's easy enough.
You never know what's going to pop up in these. It's
just like
the end of it.
I've been doing this for it's been well over 12 years now. and I'll just be studying, and then I'll find something really exciting, and it'll send me off on a little side project, and that'll get added in there, or, you know, we come up with a podcast idea, and you never know what's
It
going to
really
pop
is a
up.
window into Jess's stream of consciousness. That
Or her crazy,
Here's
whichever
my head.
stream of consciousness, crazy, whichever.
well,
I read
oddly
this-
enough, though, there are a lot of things that come up when we do this notebook game every week, every other week, that do kind of follow whatever it is whatever our topic is, or something of meaning to
Yeah.
people that ask it. Yeah, it's very strange.
It's a nice
Yeah,
revisit.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it triggers something. It'll be something very
Right.
old, and we're like, we should do a show on that, so it'll
Yeah.
become a show. So,
Ooh, we forgot about that.
yeah. This is part of the time slips, time travel mysteries that we had been talking about. This particular page is on the Thompson Park, New York, or the Watertown, New York, portal. They claimed it opened in the early 1900s. Reports of time slips, disappearances evolving around an area between the zoo and the golf course. The phenomena reported: spirit apparitions, UFOs, Bigfoot, strange occurrences, time slips, disappearances, and reappearances. Sometimes people will disappear and reappear in other locations. Has extraordinarily high EMFs. It's also reported to set on a huge slab of limestone. So in the 1930s, reports of odd sensations near one particular hill began. Alleged sightings of mist-like apparitions and unexplained noises were seen there. And then side notes to myself, I always tell you if I've got notes, because I'll do deeper research than the original story I found. In this particular area, there's some very weird coincidences. Area 51's code name is Watertown, which happens to be, this is Watertown, New York we're talking about. Alan Dulles, who was the head of the CIA in the 1950s, is actually from Watertown. He grew up just a block away from this portal. Dulles has deep ties to the Nazi scientists and, of course, Project Paperclip and all of that. And was also in with Werner von Braun, of course, who was all a part of that. And it's actually a theory that there are numerous ones of these portals around the world, and mostly in the U.S., and they were using these portals to get these gentlemen back and forth to work, to Wright-Patterson and a couple of other places. And in fact, oddly enough, it mentions it in Basaggio stuff that we were talking about earlier, that is how him and his father would get to work every day. They would take one of the portals and end up in New Mexico.
And here you just pulled them out of two separate notebooks completely.
Yeah. So you can see they are stuff kind of, the similarities get kind
Synchronizes,
of
yeah. Little synchronous.
get kind of crazy sometimes.
What was the word for the day?
Oh, I forgot. Apophenia.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Synchronicities is what I would
Oh,
refer
sorry.
to it as. But,
I'm doing the
but,
one weird word.
well, I know. I mean, I feel like this is the same thing.
Kind of, yeah, it is. Pretty wild. Okay, the next one's Ian with Notebook 5, page 45. Please, Jess.
I'm looking. This is, it's all the 2012 stuff.
Oh, cool. And there we were just
The
talking about
world-
2011.
Yeah, the world ending in 2012 theory. Nick Hinton on Twitter believes the world ended in 2012 when they found the Higgs boson, or the God particle. He believes the Higgs boson destroyed the universe and shifted our consciousness to another universe, which caused the Mandela effect with some people. Here's another oddity. That's our next show. We're going to be talking about Fiona Broom, Mr. Stain, and the Mandela.
Mandela
For
effect.
any of you who are
Yeah.
interested in that coming up. Also, the ancient Mayan calendar ended December 21st, 2012. And I will note here, I don't have it noted here because we didn't know about this yet, but I did some studying on the Mayan calendar, and while one calendar was ending, another one was actually beginning. So not so much the end of days on that one. Stephen Hawking believed that in 2012 our universe went into a catastrophic vacuum decay. He theorized that the discovery of the Higgs boson would one day destroy the universe. In astrology, December 21st, 2012 was the tipping point of a shift in consciousness and would begin the different stages of the awakening process. And then I have a little side note to myself. Hellier, Greg and Dana Newkirk, and Connor Randall story began in 2012 when they got the first letter about the goblins. And then, of course, it goes on quite a bit more. We also have a strong like of 2012 or dislike, but our team started in 2012 too.
Sure did.
Our investigative team.
Sure did. Okay, book 5, so keep the same one, page 13.
Oh, easy enough.
That was Tony. She said, I'm excited for the notebooks, but sorry, the conversation is dwindling down. That's the truth. It's been pretty fascinating.
This is on CERN.
Nice.
Hold on, this notebook's falling apart. It might be time
Much like
to
CERN.
retire this
Yeah,
one.
it's disintegrating the universe. But
Okay. CERN employs over 12,500 scientists. In 2008, Walter Wagner filed a lawsuit in Hawaii trying to stop the collider's first run. He warned it would trigger a black hole that would devour the Earth. He claimed after it was run that either nothing happened or something did happen, but he won't know about it for centuries. Oh, and then it talks about the CERN ritual video from 2016. Okay, so let me explain this to any of you who don't know what this is. When CERN was starting to get really popular, some of the interns at CERN decided to do a funny video, and you can still go see this on YouTube if you want. They got a whole bunch of them together, and they dressed them in black cloaks, and they stood in a circle out in the courtyard and set up like a video camera from inside one of the offices inside CERN. And they brought a girl out in like a white cloak and pretended to like ritually kill her. They like brought a knife in, and it was supposed to be a big joke. But apparently there wasn't supposed to be anybody at CERN after hours, and the interns ended up getting themselves all in complete trouble. Especially the intern who was interning for the scientist whose room was used to put the camera in. Kind of sold himself out there. But it's pretty hilarious if you want to go, entertain yourself for a couple of minutes. It's a pretty, just look up 2016 CERN ritual. You can go and watch this hilarity. Also on this page is the Awake experiment. And this was one of the weird things that happened with CERN that's not really, I don't even know if I can describe it. On Friday, June 24th in 2016, a portal-shaped cloud formed and was photographed over CERN the same day the new Awake experiment was begun at the lab. And it was an advanced proton-driven plasma wake-field acceleration project. That's what Awake stood for. Yeah, and then it goes on with that. You can also go and look, if you look up that date, Friday, June 24th, 2016, Awake experiment, CERN, you'll go and see that extraordinarily weird cloud. It's got like a thunderstorm happening in the center of it.
It's weird. I do remember that one.
Yeah. Really weird. CERN stuff. That's always fun.
CERN just got Enzo, apparently. Hopefully he can pop back in here in a minute. Okay, the last one is Ginger with Notebook 1, page 21.
All right. We're getting some interesting ones tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is on the Bridgewater Triangle.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
There's some more UFO stuff, too.
I've heard of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was part of a series
Blame
we were
CERN.
doing.
So we said CERN got him.
Over on the Fringe, we did an entire series on all the major triangles in the world, and this is part of that listings. This is the Bridgewater Triangle, named by Mr. Loren Coleman in the 1970s. It's about a 200 square mile section in southeastern Massachusetts. Within it, the anomalies that have been reported trace back to the 1760s is UFOs, poltergeist, orbs, fireballs, Bigfoot, giant snakes, thunderbirds, animal mutilations, puck wedgies, tricksters, Native American curses, spook lights, ghosts, black helicopters, and even zombies. So that one's fun. Yeah.
Always a trickster mixed up in there somewhere.
Always. Within it, there are some particular landmarks and places. The Hockomock Swamp, or the Devil's Swamp, the place where the spirits dwell. It's an Indian burial area. The Dighton Rock with the strange writings. Freetown Fall River State Forest. It's a site of occult activity, including animal sacrifice, ritualistic murders by Satanists, gang murders, and suicides. Profile Rock, where historical figures Wampanoag Anawan received the lost wampum belt from Philip. Legend says a ghost man can be seen sitting on the rock with his legs crossed with outstretched arms. Solitude Stone or Suicide Stone, an inscribed stone located near Faust Street in West Bridgewater that was found near a missing person's body. And it says, "All ye who in future days walk by Nuckatesset stream, love not him who hummed his lay." Oh, this is hard to say. Stream, love not him who hummed his lay cheerful to the parting beam, but the beauty that he wooed. Ooh, that was a mouthful. They also have Anawan Rock, Lake Nipponicket, Raynham, the Taunton Dog Track, cemeteries in Rehoboth, King Philip's Cave, the Horbine School, Shad Factory, and the Taunton State Hospital, all extraordinarily haunted. So that is like an overview of the Bridgewater Triangle.
Pretty fascinating. Yeah, if you guys
Good
are interested,
Lord.
that's a good one to look up because there's all kinds of things. And you can pronounce words in your head. You don't have to say them out loud like poor Jess just had to do.
I deeply apologize to the people of Massachusetts. I'm sure I might have just cursed somebody with my bad. I don't know.
Whammy on somebody.
Anywho, okay. Do we have any others?
That was it. That was the last one. That was a really good one, Ginger.
Awesome. Okay, so before we head out here, we want to thank Debbie so much for coming and hanging out with us in our nutty little show with very
Oh,
bad
thank you. I had a
pronunciation.
great time. This was a lot of fun. Thanks. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes, and you know, if you ever want to be back on, we would love to have you back on again because I know you have probably 1,001 stories percolating around in that head. We would
Oh,
love to
you have
hear.
no idea.
So
Now I am even more interested. Yes.
if you
Some of them
if you're interested,
I haven't even told my husband.
Wow.
oh wow,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No,
So
that's
okay. Thank you again to Debbie. If you're interested in her books or contacting her, I will absolutely list that on our Facebook page with links to her books at Amazon, and also I'll put in a book or a link to the 37th Parallel book, which she's also kind of a part of. You get to hear some stories in there.
We've all got that one.
And I'll also put in a link to MUFON, so you can
thank you.
check that out too. Okay. So really quick before we head out, if you're on Facebook, like and share. If you're on YouTube, hit that bell, thumbs up, and all that fun jazz. Make sure to check us out here in 2 weeks for an all-new show. Like I said earlier, we're going to be doing Mandela Effect and Fiona Broom and Mr. Stain. And if you don't know who Mr. Stain is, you should come and check it out and find out who he is. It'll be a lot of fun. Let's see here. I think that's it for the night. Do you guys have anything else to add?
I think that's it for me. Do you have anything, Enzo?
No, again, thank you very much, Debbie, for stopping by. Very informative. I do hope you come back. This was a great conversation. I feel like we could go on for even more.
Yeah, we could.
Well,
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
So hang around just a moment, Debbie, and we're going to do our outro. But thanks again for everybody for hanging out with us, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. So
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Keep it weird. Keep
Oh,
it
sorry,
strange.
Jess.
Remember, it's all connected. Good night.
Good night.
I'm trying to cut off my only part.